Do we start?
Can go.
Hi, we are so glad that you are with us right now, and as we have been going through the last few sessions, especially the one I had with Reverend Sam Gift, Stephen, we discussed of the foreign workers here and the program to bless them as they are blessing us, the feeding project, and the details of it, you know it well if you refer back to the last session. Today we have Dr. Joseph Chong that I've come to know in recent years, especially the last 2 years. Even before the COVID, he was in town, he visited me, and I discovered that he is specialized in biblical scripture and Chinese oracle, what do you call that?
Oracle bone script.
Oracle bone script.
Yep.
Very interesting because he has mentioned it to me, I know it, but the words itself are critical because this is basically redeeming our roots with regards to Chinese culture and biblical teaching. And he's also very much into Genesis, and chapter 11 is critical for this discussion. Dr. Joseph, today we had a busy day.
Yes.
We were out 10 and we just came in at about 5. And here we have Nick and Johnny preparing everything for us to bring in this topic. Okay, I'll leave it to you to introduce this subject to the people because I made reference to Philip Yancey earlier, the Bible Jesus read. And when we talk about the Bible Jesus read, you know, the way they read Hebrew is different from what we do it now.
Yes.
They read it differently, and they also did Aramaic, and
Right.
some of them, like Paul, were into Greek.
Yes.
We call it the Koine Greek.
Right.
So when it comes to this subject of Chinese biblical thinking,
Yep.
I need your enlightenment. Go ahead and share with the listeners.
Okay. Wow. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we shall be glad and rejoice in it. Though we had a long day, but yeah, thank you so much for spending time with us this evening to just enjoy, the session. We just sort of make it very light-hearted. It's very much of not with a religious tone, but basically approaching it from the educational point of view, right? So the topic is called Biblical Chinese Alphabet, which we are going to learn a bit more tonight. However, the objective is talking about redeeming our roots, all right?
Yeah.
Not just the roots for the Chinese people. Pastor PJ, thank you so much for inviting me to come on
You're welcome.
for this
I'm
conversation.
looking forward to this.
Sure. And tonight, I believe some of you may have heard words like, Ito Barco, there's a boat and 8 people. Obviously, it is depicting the story of Noah's Ark, right? So, but that is not my field. That's not the scope that I am approaching. Basically, I'm just connecting the 1,000 years of the ancient script called the Oracle Bone script. All right, and this script was before the Bible, revelation of Genesis was given to Moses. How did a Chinese ancestor know about this creation story when there was no Bible? I think that's something that we can explore, right?
Yep.
Okay, so now there is copyright in what we are sharing tonight because I think more importantly tonight is just an introduction.
Yep.
And so I would appreciate if you could just respect the copyright and not sharing on the what you call your social network or
Right.
before it's time. Okay, so it may take a few sessions for us to really digest this topic whereby it's 6,000 years old. Okay, and in connecting with the Bible. So welcome to just enjoy the session tonight, right? So however, for those who will be interested in not only hearing but also learning, and so as even to teach others, I do have this called Train the Trainer program,
Okay.
which will be offered to people who are interested.
Yep.
free of charge.
Yeah.
Okay, and you will be able to entitled to have my PowerPoint for your personal use to share this topic. Okay, so now this subject that we're talking tonight, I completed a thesis in 2014.
Okay.
And it was by a thesis submission, because there's no Bible college or university actually deal with this topic and subject.
Really?
Yeah.
After these years?
Well, you will get to hear the content of it. Why is it has to be a form of a doctorate
Okay.
initiative?
Yep.
So this is my wife. She has journeyed with me for the last 33 years.
Amazing.
So it is only during this 2020, during the lockdown.
Yep.
You know, we met online sometime last year. It was actually during the April, where I have 40 trainers celebrating the birth of biblical Chinese alphabet during COVID. Right? So talk a bit more of this 2020, how I have survived 3 quarantines. One in Thailand, one in Taiwan, and now here in Singapore. In all those visits, it is actually impossible. I'm supposed to be locked in and locked down in Melbourne, where I actually have migrated 20 years ago. All right. So the thesis that I presented to Promise Christian University, just now you saw how I was conferred with the honorary doctorate in this topic. My thesis is called The Compendium of the Chinese Characters with a Biblical Perspective. All right, not for the really the purpose of evangelism, but it does build a bridge to help the people, especially from the Chinese origin, to see the connection that this ancient old script actually testify, okay, the creation story in Genesis. Okay. So I'd like to begin with this Alvin Toffler, whereby, he has departed in 2016, known as a futurist and a contributor for forward thinking, author of many books. In fact, he has left behind a very profound statement for a time, like especially when we talk about the new normal.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
He says the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn and relearn.
Can you repeat that? That's very interesting.
The illiterate of the 21st century are not those who cannot read or write, but those who refuse or cannot learn, okay, unlearn and relearn.
Repeat it one more time, because it's learning, unlearning, relearning.
Yes. Okay. It's talking about the willingness to learn again.
That's it.
Okay. To put it simply, to unlearn and relearn is the key word.
Yes.
We must first unlearn, then we have to relearn.
That's right.
All right. And I have to present this because that's how we have to position ourselves so that we are able to adapt to this new normal.
Yes.
Okay. And that there are opportunities, and we often use the word reset.
Yes.
And reset it is. And amazingly, you'll discover that even in the opportunity when the world is wanting to learn Chinese, we have this opportunity to hear from a very different perspective, but it's a biblical perspective, right? So recalling what Alvin Toffler was saying, we basically are reminded by Jesus told us that to the things of the kingdom of God, we need to be like children.
Yes.
And exactly this is what Alvin Toffler is telling us. Okay, we have to what? Unlearn so as to relearn. We have to position ourselves, to be neutral like a child, okay, to be like a sponge absorbing, new technologies, new knowledge, all right, and new findings, okay, so that we can see and prepare for the future.
Dr. Joseph, I like the way you quoted Alvin Toffler, and I'm glad you're reintroducing some of his thoughts here alongside what we're discussing, the Bible and Chinese characters. But he did say that the first wave was agriculture, the second wave was industrial, and the third wave is knowledge-based in terms of civilizational clashes.
Yes.
But how does this fit into the agricultural base as in Genesis, especially Genesis 1 to 11, to your understanding?
Agriculture, big time.
Yep.
Because the first person who planted the tree wasn't a human. All right? It was God himself.
Of course.
And not only that, he gave us the trees, he gave us fruits, all right, and vegetables that had seed bearing. Now, God did not say that, Adam, these are the seed, go and plant and feed yourself. Okay? By the 6th day comes, everything
Yes.
okay, was there. Everything was just sort of
Yes,
perfect,
yes,
right?
yes.
There's nothing that they wanted.
That's right.
But you will see that later on in the program,
Yeah.
you find that the very first word for want,
Yeah.
W-A-N-T,
Yes.
okay, depicts the Genesis 1, Genesis 3,
Mm.
okay, where the woman, okay, took something that
Right.
God says, please do not. Please do not get yourself into trouble.
Yes.
Okay? All right. As we move on with that, we all understand that.
Thanks for that
Sure.
explanation.
Sure. Okay. Right. Now, we all know that in terms of education and learning, I think I need to mention that just recently our Minister of Education, right, he has made a very profound statement.
Yeah.
Okay, our children, our young people give us 20 years of their life that we can teach them something.
Of course.
And that he says what we have given them only knowledge and skill.
Knowledge and skill.
And now that because of this pandemic, we have to explore what should we give the child that will stay with him for life.
Okay, how do you respond as a Singaporean yourself
Yeah.
who has globalized? We are all Singaporeans that has fast globalized.
Yep.
And now we think global, but we have to act local in this context of the minister. He's Minister of Education.
Yes.
So what did he mean by that?
I do believe that he's asking us to take the opportunity of the challenges that we are facing today and to reflect how our young people are behaving themselves. Because how they behave in themselves reflect what we have imparted in them
And you're talking
in their
about
early
society.
life. Absolutely.
What about
Yes.
family?
I believe that education also carry into the family unit. And there is a very obvious difference when you see someone who are educated, so-called from the West, when they begin to look upon them as like deferring and distancing from perhaps, say, the Chinese culture and
This
some of the
20
culture.
years you talk about.
Yeah.
He mentioned 20, right?
20 years.
You're talking about kindergarten to
Yeah,
university.
early childhood.
Childhood.
Early
How
childhood.
do you apply what we are saying here in terms of biblical thinking and culture so that our listeners can understand? Some of them are from Singapore,
Yep.
a lot are from other
Sure.
parts of this region and
Yes,
the world. And your
especially.
message is critical
Yeah.
because we are also responding to what the minister is seeing.
Absolutely.
Need to change.
So when I heard he saying that, I said, hey, I think this is what we are trying to explore. Okay, explore. When take for example, I learned, as you can see on the screen, ABC. I learned A for apple, B for boy, C for cat.
Okay.
It has not changed my life a bit because I'm just learning a language.
I agree.
All right,
I
and so
agree.
it depends on the child how the way of life that he will choose after he has this knowledge. All right, now, but when you are able to present, say, in our case, learning the Chinese language, we are talking about teaching a child how to differentiate between good and evil, and that he may choose to do the right thing for the rest of his life. When the first time he learned about ABC,
Yes,
you get the context? All right.
I hear you.
Yes.
But ABC, the way it's explained in school when you and I went through kindergarten,
Yes.
is A for apple, B for boy, C for cat.
And nobody challenged that.
Nobody challenged
And nobody
that.
asked, what kind of apple, teacher?
That's right. What color?
What color? What apple? From where?
Boy. What kind of boy?
No,
Yeah.
nobody asked that. We just sort of follow, and we
Because cat, there's a Persian cat. There's
yes.
a kucing cat.
Sure.
No,
Okay.
kucing as in
Right.
Malaysian word
There will
for
be
that.
actually some example
Okay.
why I have basically used the word alphabet
Yeah.
in the Chinese
I
context.
like that.
Yes, all right. Now let's basically look at how we learn. Apparently, we have the left brain and right brain. On the left brain, we're talking about being logical, and it has to do with the languages, numbers, and analytical thinking.
Yeah.
While on the right brain, you're talking about the expression is more colorful, more creative,
Yeah.
and something. Well, we basically incline to either the left or the right. Okay.
So the Chinese characters do represent both.
No,
both
I'm
sides
just
of it.
preparing us to come to a place of neutral before you can
Okay.
even learn the
I hear
BCA.
you. I hear
Because if we were to take a stand on either side, perhaps we will be just wasting each other's
True.
time. And because we are just corresponding to what Edwin Truffle says,
Yes.
we have to what? Unlearn in order to relearn. And we have to come to what I'm about to say. And interestingly, this very statement is the day when I met Pastor PJ just last year.
Yeah.
All right. And one of our friend, Brother Boone.
Boone.
Yes, he said this word. He says, "On my left brain there's nothing right. On my right brain there's nothing
I'd
left."
like you to repeat that because some don't see the humor there.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. So those who laugh are probably your right brain. Those who didn't laugh, probably on the left brain. You're still figuring out.
And you know Dr. Boone by now, he's a senior
Yes.
psychiatrist in
Yes.
Pontiana, a good friend of ours. Yep.
Yes. So it's an anonymous who actually wrote this, in fact, on the toilet wall. But when I hear this, I say, wow, how profound it is. Why? Because he's talking about on my left brain, there's nothing right. On my right brain, there's nothing left. It's not talking about left and right.
No.
It's talking about what is right or wrong and whether if there's anything left.
When he first told me that,
Yeah.
it took me some time to catch it, even with our qualifications.
Yes.
But when I caught it, I said, boy, we missed a lot of things there.
Okay. All right.
And right brain, by the way, guys,
There you
it's
go.
not this side, okay?
There you go.
It's this side.
There you go.
Left brain is this side.
There you
but
go.
when you mention it in terms of what he just said, we need to get out of that old worldview
Yes.
and start into what he's introducing us to right now. Thank you, Dr. Chang.
It did not take very long before we see a display of the expression of a left brain and right brain,
Yep.
with some nation that is already splitted and divided
Yes.
because of the left thinking and the right thinking.
So would you think a lot of this confusion from Tower of Babel started at that point in Genesis?
I think it started back in the Garden of Eden.
Even, my
Yes,
God,
yes.
Even go before that.
Yes, yes. And
Agriculture.
right, guess what? Adam and Eve, or rather Eve, has drawn the human race into one side of things. Okay, well, we'll find in a sense that we're beginning to appreciate this even more, okay, as we move on.
I'd like you to repeat that because I want the listeners to understand what you're saying about Garden of Eden.
Okay, right. I would like to demonstrate it with the Chinese
agree.
character
I
so that
agree.
it will just begin
Yes,
aligned to
yes.
what our topic here tonight.
Yes.
Okay, and so I thought it's very profound because those who are looking at Chinese, there's also an equivalent explanation for this. Okay, the Zhen and Shen talking about, there's nothing that is correct, all
Yes,
right, and
yes.
outright.
Yes.
Okay, the left is talking about we are lost. And today you see, we have seen these two stand opposing each other. And so when we begin to make a stand, there will be opposing opinion, isn't it?
Always.
Okay, yes.
Very, what I call Greco-Roman thinking too.
Sure. I like to take reference to Joshua when he was supposed to enter into Jericho. He faced this captain of hosts,
Yes.
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 And the sword was being taken out. And Joshua asked, "Are you for me or against me?" Right?
And that is being used currently for what we are all going through, even before the pandemic.
Yes. So are you for me or against me? What was the answer? The answer was neither. So Joshua, I'm not for you, nor against you. And Joshua responded by bowing and worship. And obviously it wasn't an angel that was bowing. No, it was God himself.
In Indian philosophy,
Yes.
it's neither nor, either or.
Okay.
So what you're telling me,
Yes.
in Chinese philosophy, is coming close to that.
Yes. And therefore you have this, China.
Yeah.
It's called 中国.
中国.
It's not about neither, it's about neutral.
Wow. Repeat that. That's critical before you go to the next.
Yes, so 中国 is not just about talking about the Middle Kingdom, it's talking about the stand as being neutral, neither left or right.
And I believe they are practicing it now still in
And
Chinese philosophy.
that is why, in a sense, it is a sweet and sour thing.
Yep.
Okay, so
Sounds
it depends
like
on
Thailand. Sweet and sour.
sweet and sour, right? So it depends on how you stand,
Yes,
how you look
yes,
at things.
yes,
But I
yes.
believe, as Chinese with a 1,000-year-old history, I believe we have always. In fact, this other word I will reveal to you how the Chinese think.
Yep.
Okay. Now I've asked many Chinese people about these four words. All right, and if I said, have you seen this word before? No, it's basically oracle bone script. But if we were to get them to guess, normally, Pastor PG, the second word is like water. It looks like water. Okay. But the word that on the right hand side to the water, most of them will guess is like a turtle.
Looks like.
It looks like it, right? So the oracle bone, sometimes it looks like something, but it's not meant to be. All right. So, well, if you want to basically have a taste of Chinese, this four words is important. It's called 饮水思源. Can you try that? 饮水思源.
yuan.
Okay. Now, what does it mean?
Can I repeat that?
饮水思源.
Yan.
So 饮 is to drink,
Drink.
水 is
Water.
water, 思 is to contemplate and to
So
consider.
it's not just thinking.
No,
Yeah.
contemplate, right? Okay, because I'm going to open up the two components
Yeah.
that make up
I
consideration and
understand where
thinking,
you're coming from.
and source. So when you drink your water, don't forget where the source come from.
That's important. Can you repeat that again? Yeah.
饮水思源 means when you drink water,
Yeah.
please do not forget the roots
The
or
source.
the source of the water that come
So
from.
how do I apply that thinking and that area in terms of my Bible application?
Absolutely. With these four words, all right, we basically will become a person who is grateful and thankful for who I am, regardless of how perhaps a parents or mentor has raised us, right? Okay, whether how we have received that upbringing.
Yes.
Okay, it is also the makeup of who we are today.
Yes.
And therefore, a person who knows how to 饮水思源, okay, is a person who are grateful. All right, and we need the young people to begin to adopt, right, such a gratitude towards all the people who have raised them and, yes, impart their life in them.
Dr. Chong, you were telling me, sorry I used the word Chong, but I'm going to the Chinese side. You told me you were in Taiwan, and when you introduced these materials to them, what was your reaction? Taiwan.
Okay, it's quite interesting because I got the opportunity during the COVID lockdown and to be in Taiwan for 3 months. As a Singaporean migrated to Australia for 20 years, I can't use the word self-doubt, but I do have some form of concern. Who am I, a Singaporean, come to Taiwan and to teach them Chinese?
Exactly.
Right? Now, what was amazing is that, as you know, Taiwan used traditional script, while here in Asia, Singapore, and also mainland China use simplified script. All right. Now, if I were to write an official letter in Taiwan using a simplified script, it will be scrapped and not recognized. Right. Now, but I have to declare, all right, to them that I am not Taiwanese, neither am I Chinese. Okay, and therefore there is no political agenda. However,
That was critical.
However, when we look at the Oracle bone script, it is the most matured script. Okay, that's about 6,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. So I use the word "chong," which is worm. Okay. So in the Oracle bone, you see a worm. Okay, a head and like a sperm. You know, it's a worm, right? And so the simplified script until today, they have a script for chong. Okay, that's one worm. And I asked a Taiwanese friend. I said, "How many worms in your Chinese characters?" And they got 3. I said, "Why 3?" And they look at me, "We don't know."
Why?
Okay. Well, Oracle bone was 1.
Yeah.
Okay, simplified is 1. So that right? That is correct. But why is that there are 3?
No one told me why.
No. No one Taiwanese stood up and said, "I know why."
Yeah.
But I began to explain to them that, well, because of the traditional script, you have additional information about this script.
Okay.
Because a worm cannot be 1, it will multiply. And that's why we are all putting our mask today.
Is that linked to DNA kind of thing?
Yes, big time.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, that's a very good question.
Yep.
I'm speaking to a prophet and a pastor here. He's just reading ahead of me. Huh? Okay. However, come back to the word that I mentioned about turtle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's not a turtle. It's a very important word called to contemplate. In fact, what you saw like with a cross, right? You see,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
It's actually our brain.
Okay.
And it's the middle brain. It's called the fontuna.
Okay.
The place before the baby close up, right? When they were first born.
So they know brain physiology through that already?
Absolutely. They even have a word with things that you can't see. And below that is the heart. So when you talk about 饮水思源,
Yeah.
you have not only used your so-called your brain,
Right.
but you have to consider with your heart.
Yeah.
So that's how the Chinese word come about.
Wow. And this is quite far ahead thinking, you know.
Absolutely. They see things as only now we're discovering it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, what's oracle bone, by the way? Okay, oracle bones are basically words that has been inscribed.
Right.
Interestingly, on turtle shell,
Yeah.
which is flat part,
Yeah.
and also animal bones. Okay, ox. All right.
Right.
And they inscribed this. Once upon a time, they thought this for medicinal
Yes,
use,
purposes.
purposes. Until when they discovered that hey, these are scripts, and they
Yes.
stopped people from grinding it down,
Right.
to be
Right.
medicine. However, there are two forms of oracle bone.
Right.
One is for divination,
Yes.
whereby the so-called the sorcerer or the diviner, they will inscribe some cracks on these bones.
Okay.
They pass through the fire, and then pickpock. There are more cracks that appear on the bones.
Right.
And only the diviner could understand the message that will advise the king whether he should go for war or not.
Yes.
Whether he should hunt or not.
Right,
Right.
right.
But this is not the oracle bone we are talking about. Okay. The oracle bone we are talking about are eyewitnesses.
Okay.
How the Chinese ancestor recorded what they encounter. Right. And therefore, that's what we are
Can I ask
addressing.
you a question
Yes.
in regards to that language you're talking about?
Yes.
Was this approach, we call it traditional,
Yep.
dated back to 6,000 or even further back?
Yes. Okay. Now we are going to go on the timeline
Okay.
now. You see. All right. I have not seen John. Just following along, okay, with what we need. Well, first of all, we look at the biblical timeline
Yeah.
because we are talking about biblical Chinese.
Right.
So let's look at the Bible because the Bible more or less review Adam to Abraham is about
Exactly.
2,000 years.
Right. About
Abraham to Jesus about 2,000 years.
Yes.
And Jesus till now is about 2,020 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's about 6,000 plus biblical timeline.
You're following Gregorian timeline?
Yes,
Yeah.
all right. And but I would like to take reference in terms of like in Psalms and also in Peter, he talk about a day in heaven. It's 1,000 years on earth,
True.
right? So if earth time 6,000 plus, we are talking about it's already the 1 week in heaven.
Of course.
How interesting, huh? Okay, now
So
Pastor
we're
PJ
only
asked
2
me.
days. We're only 2 days, 20 years ahead right now.
Okay, we don't say Saturday and 2 hours or 2 minutes. It's
Yeah.
already Sunday.
Sunday.
It's the third day morning
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And so all these basically come together to see that the
Yeah.
time is short
Yeah.
and that Jesus will come back as he has promised.
Yes,
Okay?
yes.
But amazingly, after 6,000 years, we are looking into this ancient script
Right.
that testify that the Bible is true. So we have the biblical reference from the Genesis, which, about 3,500 years from now, given to Moses by
Yes.
Revelation,
Yes.
book of Genesis. However, the book of Job is even earlier.
Okay. That's theologically right.
And Job is a man of the Orient.
Yeah, he was not really a Jew
No.
or a Semite.
Right. And amazingly, there will be a chapter that I have to make a reference to because it has to relate to what we are
Right.
studying
Right.
on this period of Chinese.
Right.
However, the oracle bone, all right, it's about 6,000 at this moment, 6,000 years that actually coincide with the biblical history.
That's a lot of work.
So we first have the oracle bone script, okay, which you're going to see some words that actually depicts the creation story
Yeah.
way before you got the Bible. And so this is what we are dealing with, right? We are not just picking up some words and just talk about how fascinated we are, but we ask the question, what is the relationship behind the two?
I hope you are getting what Dr. Chong, Joseph, is trying to let you know about the language in terms of Chinese thought. And he has made it look simple, but it's not that simple. So please track very carefully. And that's why I asked him a few questions, because I want you to know we have discussed this matter before, but I've been thinking and rethinking of what I was thinking about Chinese language.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, sure. All right. Now, there are three primitive. These are basically very foundational because I need to bring you to come along a journey. As you see, the title is called Redeeming Our Roots. Okay, and no one would be able to see the roots just like that. You need to dig.
Dig.
Yeah.
And we are digging now.
Yes, and we're going to dig and you're going to see very deep, right? I can't be showing you the root immediately because you won't believe,
Right,
right?
right.
So we're talking about there are three primitive way of actually keeping records,
Right,
right?
right.
Okay, first of all, we all are familiar calling the oral tradition.
Yes.
Okay, but you have played the game, Pastor PJ. 10%, you pass a message to the ear.
Yes.
What happened to the last one? Oh, jump it up, right? It is easy for us to say it's oral tradition,
Yeah.
but in reality, it's pretty unreliable. Okay, but there's something that's more reliable. It's talking about the written tradition. Okay, it comes with script. Sometimes it comes with painting and drawings. All right, but what if we do not have the oral tradition and the written tradition? Okay, what happened? How do we know what happened? How did this world come about? And God need people like you. And there was also a person called Prophet Moses. God said, "Come, Moses, I will tell you how this world come about, how I created Adam and Eve." And Moses said, "No, God, no one will believe me." Why? Moses, have you seen God creating Adam and Eve? How do they look like? No way, right? But today we see that we have more than half the world's population, not only just a Christian, not only just a Catholic, but the Muslim, the Jewish people has Genesis.
I think
Revelation.
I need to let you know, viewers. I like one of my friend, Patrick Gilbert. He's smart. He's following us right now. He said, "Dr. John, just curious. You were meddling with your mobile phone throughout the talk while he was talking. Did he feel you were being rude, or if the audience were watching the YouTube program, would they feel the same? I found it odd that you were doing that. So unlike you, and any comments? Good and informative program though." I like that, Patrick. The reply to you is no, he knows. Because my focus is on the program and his thought, and I'm not meddling with the phone. I'm sending the message to listeners here and far to start tuning in now. And when I'm doing that, I'm thinking what question to ask next, Patrick.
Yeah.
I love you for that. You understand what I'm saying?
Patrick,
A lot of our communication model is the old world.
yes,
We are in a new tablet.
absolutely.
New tablet form. And this to me is about 10 years late. God bless you.
Amen. All right. No, it's wonderful. It's flowing very well.
Right.
Every question is asked. It's not seen into my notes,
Right.
and it's just following me ahead of you guys.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Pat, you are right on top.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
I see the humor.
Right. Okay. Now we come on to this Genesis 11.
Yep.
We're supposed to basically, you'll see that even in this first introduction, we cover Genesis 1 to
Yep.
11, all right? But 11 is the key point because we remember that once upon a time, people in the world was of one language.
Yeah.
And the Lord says that if since the people are of one language, right, okay, nothing is impossible to them.
So, Patrick, this is critical
Yeah.
because since you are tracking us, the language, where did it start? So, Dr. Chung is already addressing that as a fundamental after
Yeah.
this few 10, 20 minutes of introduction.
Yes.
Go
yes.
ahead, Dr.
Okay,
Chung.
this is very important because God did not just destroy the people in the Tower of Babel. He just confused the language.
Yes.
Right, and God wasn't threatened by this power of unity.
Yes.
The only thing that they misuse the unity. Not only that, they said, "Let's not scatter ourselves." Where God says, "Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth." There are plenty of space and for you to share. Don't die before your time. All right. So the only way that God has done was just to confuse the language. Now, is that language still existing today, Pastor G? Anybody ever say that? Since there was a common language, could we explore to see if that language is still existing today?
I think I don't see many people doing that. But
Okay.
in terms of oral tradition, most of our cultures of world religion and otherwise refer back to the storytelling. Even the Africans do that.
Yep.
And within that story is a story.
Yep.
We call it also covenant theology,
Sure.
where
Okay.
they agree on what to agree
Okay.
on and disagree on.
Sure.
So you're asking me a very critical
Thank
question
you.
there.
All right.
Patrick, take note.
Okay. We just go by a natural logic explanation. Because today, we are still using languages to communicate. It's not that it's a thing of the past. All right, we don't use sign language. We don't use our eyes to communicate, and or push a button. If we speak the language, you can understand me. If I speak a language that you don't understand, you will shut me off and then say goodbye, right? Okay.
That is very critical in linguistic term because the way they did oral tradition and what we do now, especially with this speeding up of the cyber and
Yeah.
digitalized
Yeah.
device,
Okay.
are we going to lose out this truth that you just shared?
No,
in
I think
terms-
we have the opportunity of coming back to Genesis with a new light. Remember, we started off by unlearn and then relearn.
Yes.
Okay, allow me to just finish the next few slides
Okay.
because our time is about up.
Okay, thank
45
you.
minutes as an introduction, right?
Yep.
So, okay, now, well, today there is a demonstration of a nation whereby the 258 ministers of the leader, okay, endorse and approve, okay, their president to rule indefinitely. And these people are of one language. The power of unity today, we see a display of that. All right, but please assured, I do believe that it is not a power that is aggressive or arrogant, because for 1,000 years they have never invaded any country. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. However, we just move on right from there. So God did confuse the language, and we have the nations. Now, if once upon a time, okay, we have a common language, could there be actually a common script? All right, so tonight I think I'll end off with that. If not, I will just go a bit further. So we want to discuss a case of a common script from the so-called the beginning of the one language thing, right? So if first and foremost we have a script, okay, a script that is written in an ancient way, and we have people looking at the script, but they pronounce it differently, but the meaning is the same. Okay, so it says that different nationality have the same script but pronounce it differently. It confirms that, or rather, confirms the Bible says that God confused the language.
Yes.
All right. Now, since it's common, it should be simple enough to learn. Nothing against about those who learn Greek and Hebrew. All right. But God used a common thing that
The
He
Bible
may win
says
all.
God did it because men were trying to do something they
Yes.
were not supposed to do.
Yes.
Is that there in that reading?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. But we see that there is all, what they call, we are redeeming our roots. This is part of the thing that we're redeeming.
Exactly.
What was we want to redeem is to redeem that what God says that if the language were the same,
Right.
all right, there's nothing impossible to them. But at that time, they were doing something against God and not for
Okay.
God. So maybe perhaps when we explore this, God may want to give us an opportunity to work together
Wow.
and to learn a language that we can help each other.
Yes.
And actually, this route is not just for the Chinese people alone, but it's for all people.
This
Because
is where
yeah.
I appreciate your thoughts there,
Yeah.
because even our leaders were fast track, I call it, with Hanyu Pinyin
Yeah.
and the culture as in Chinese
Yes.
thought, and using Mandarin to unite
Yes.
our different dialect groups here.
Yes.
That will help also Singapore to empower this region.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right.
Yep.
And the third thing is important. Okay, no matter how easy, no matter how difficult the language may be,
Right.
but there must be a need for us all, a common need for all to learn it.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so very quickly you see this word. All right. Okay. Okay, this slide, okay, should come first. Let me see. Now, unless you are a linguist, I think you won't guess what word it is, but I just let the cat out. But just to save time, okay, this is about 100 strips about the word people. All right, there you go. Okay,
People.
all right, people. All right, and that you see that because I took out the word that you know.
Yeah.
Okay, but they were referring to people.
Yeah.
Okay, you have orang, you got watu, you got all this script that's there that depicts different languages. All right, but what I want to bring to your attention is that which is the most easiest script that you see on the list of the 100 languages
Is that,
script.
Is that?
Yeah, what is that? There's Chinese,
That's
and
Chinese.
just only 2 stroke.
Yes,
All right.
yes, I
So
saw
so it's talking about people. It's pictorial. So the rest of the script comes by the sound, because God confused the language, and so they use sound to create the word. But Chinese is pictorial. You have the head, the tail, the left and right, and makes a person. Now, what did I say just now? I said if I were to find, different people who look at the same word, but they pronounce it differently. In the Korean called yin, all right? The Chinese called ren. The Korean say hito. I'm not talking about same culture now. I'm talking about God did not confuse the script. It remains still the same, but confuse the language.
Wow, this I need to discuss in the next show, but can I summarize what we covered so far? Listeners, I want you to know, I like Patrick's question, I answered it. This is critical. I am an alma mater of Trinity Theological College, and if you go to Hillview and you'll see the college there, the roof is in this format. It is man with
Man.
a cross.
Wow.
Christ, the Son of Man,
Yes.
connecting us with
Okay.
this. I am highlighting it as you summarize it,
Sure.
as we close off for this
Yep.
session.
Okay. 2 more slides to
Yep.
just cover the 3 questions.
Yes, thank
First
you.
of all, I've
Thank you.
satisfied the that there are different people who look at the same script, they pronounce it differently.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about culture.
Right.
Even culture, they're different. You
Right.
got Korean food, you got Chinese food, you got
Right,
Japanese food.
right,
So not all nasi lemak. Okay. Right. And then we have basically you have see all these nationality of people.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Before that, we want to make a script for them.
Right.
But now we have a biblical Chinese, and
Right.
if they were to learn Chinese, you can connect them with the world.
Patrick, take note, okay?
All right. And then and the third one, is easy to learn. All right,
Right,
it's easy.
right,
It's only the way we taught has confused by the sound of the pinyin. Right. But now if we teach about component,
Yeah.
we can add a component and form a word. That's our approach on the
Now
biblical
this
Chinese
becomes clearer
alphabet.
to me because
Thank
when I
you.
was relief teaching in school,
Yeah.
we had to use Hanyu Pinyin
Yeah.
when we were introduced.
True.
And writing for the
Yes.
students' names and all that.
Yes.
And I found it hard to grab the concept.
Sure.
Today it becomes a bit more clear.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
And so the last one, reason is that the need to learn it. Well, do not look at upon this One Belt Road initiative as a political one. Think about the people who dare not fly on a plane and to want to see the world.
Many.
Hey, how about they are traveling on a safer,
Right, right.
fast train or bullet train and to see the world. Okay.
I want you
However,
to be aware of that because this is critical to what we are doing
Yes.
right now in this region.
One Belt Road, cannot be without the language.
Right.
I was in Australia and then I talked to an African brother.
Right.
And when he heard about this Chinese alphabet, hey, Pastor, I want to learn Chinese from you. I said, why? I said, you're African. And no, the whole company is learning Chinese. I said, why? Oh, we are in the railroad industry, the train. All these menu come
So
in
it
Chinese.
has commercial value.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to end this session. I had to do with it, and when I'm on my handphone, I'm not distracted. Neither is he distracted, because my priority is for him to bring us into this, and he has done so well. And I included my Trinity Theological College symbol. If you go and check it out in Hillview Road, Singapore, it is that
Wow.
symbol. And of course, there's a cross
Yes.
that is the horizontal and the vertical.
Yes,
We'll
amen.
follow up from here. God bless you. Have a good day. Enjoy this session. Many more to go.
Thank you, everyone.
Dr. Joseph.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. God bless.
God bless.